We were discussing from 6th chapter, and today we'll discuss from 7th chapter. In the last two chapters, um, Maitreya Rishi spoke about the process of creation and also by the prayers offered by the devatas in order to facilitate them the place of work. The same Mahavishnu entered into universe as Garbhodakshaya Vishnu and then manifested the universal form. So in that universal form, various things have appeared, and at the end, Maitreya Rishi concludes his description saying that so from this universal form, the place appeared for various devatas who will look after the activities of five jnanendriyas, five karmendriyas, and four antakaranas. So the purpose of giving all these senses is to accomplish whatever we desire to do in this material world. But in order to attain the ultimate perfection of one's existence is to use all these 14 senses in the service of the Supreme Lord. Ekanta labham vachason pumsham shushloka maurler gunavada mahu. So basically he's talking about the vachaso, the sense faculty of the speaking, the mouth, and also Shrutesha Vidvadbir. He also speaks about the ears. So these two senses can be perfected only when they used in the service of the Supreme Lord by describing Krishna Katha, by hearing Krishna Katha. So similarly, the same thing can be extrapolated to other senses. So in order to perfect myself, in order to purify my own existence, I am engaging in describing unlimited activities of Supreme Lord. But since Lord is unlimited, even Brahma could not understand, Shiva could not understand, all the Devatas could not understand. Who am I to understand about him completely? So I could describe as much as I could realize from what I heard from my Guru. So I heard much more, but from which I could understand something. From that I could speak little. Like that, he kind of concludes the chapter. So having heard the last two chapters very seriously, very eagerly, now Vidura is going to pose some wonderful questions. So in this chapter there are 40 plus shlokas. In the first 7 verses, Vidura asks 2 questions related to Supreme Lord and related to Jiva suffering. And Maitreya answers those queries up to 14th verse. And then verse number 15 to 16 to 20, Vidura confirms what he had understood based on what he had heard from Maitreya. That is repetition of the answer spoken by Maitreya until 20. Then 21 to 39, Vidura asked so many questions, just like Parishit Maharaj asked so many questions in the second canto 8th chapter, so that the discussion can go on for more time. Then at the end, from verse number 40 to 42, I think, 3 verses, he specifically inspires Maitreya to give answers to all these questions and also other subject matters connected to Krishna. Because speaker also needs some inspiration. So the hearer should always present their eagerness to hear. Otherwise, speaker can speak only for some time. He cannot continue to speak for long. So that we can see in the last 3 verses. So let us start with the first verse. Sri Shuka Uvacha Evam Bruvanam Maitreyan Dvaipayana Suto Buddha Prinayan iva Bharatya Vidura Pratyabhasata. You want to have the book? Right, please.
Sri Shukadeva Goswami said, O king, while Maitreya the great sage was thus speaking, Vidura, the learned son of Dvaipayan Vyasa, expressed a request in pleasing manner by asking this question.
Yeah. So Dvaipayana Suto Buddha, the intelligent son of Krishna Dvaipayana Vyasa, that was Vidura, Prinayan Iva, as if very much pleased. That means he was not pleased. Whatever Vidura heard from Maitreya, he had some doubts about it. So Prinayan Iva Bharatya Viduram Pratyabhasata, Vidura Pratyabhasata. As if he was pleased, now he is replying to Maitreya. He was not completely pleased. So why he was not pleased, we will understand based on the questions. Based on the questions which he asked. Vidura Uvacha Brahman Katam Bhagavatas Chinmatrasya Vikarina Leelaya Chapi Yujjeran Nirgunasya Gunakriya.
Sri Vidura said, O great Brahmana, since the Supreme Personality of Godhead is the complete spiritual whole and is unchangeable, how is he connected with the material modes of nature and their activities? If this is his pastime, how do the activities of the unchangeable take place and exhibit qualities without the modes of nature?
So one important question, I don't know whether you understood or not. So basically in the fifth chapter, in order to explain the creation of the material world, Maitreya said that Maya is one of Lord's energies. So with the help of Maya, the Supreme Lord activates the three modes of material nature by glancing upon Maya. So Maya has three modes as its counterparts, as its subject to portions, and from their modification later on appears 24 elements. Then by their combination there appears unlimited Brahmandas. Then so many things happen step by step. So if Maya is Lord's energy, all the Maya's activities are also of Lord's. So Lord, by glancing upon Maya, interacting with three modes of material nature of Maya. That means Lord has some connection with the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Sorry, Lord has some connection with the three modes of material nature. So now he's asking, how? Brahman, my dear Brahmana, Katam Bhagavatas, how the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Chin Matrasya, who is completely spiritual, is Chin Matra, he is not Chinmaya, he is not Maya Maya, he is Chin Matras, he is completely spiritual. That completely spiritual Lord, and who is also Avikarina, who has no transformations in him, is always Kutastha, is always stays in one transcendental form, he does not change his form unlike ours. We as human beings, our body keeps changing. The world surrounding us also keeps changing. But the Supreme Lord is not like that. He is Avikarina, he does not go through any changes by the effect of time or by the effect of Maya. Because he is completely spiritual. He is Chin Matrasya. He is only Chin Matra. He has no 90% of Chin, 10% of material, not like that. He is 100% Chin Matrasya. So, is he doing the activity of creating, maintaining and annihilating the material universes as a Leela? Leelaya? Cha api Ujjaran? Or it is a routine activity? Ujjaran means routine activity. Yukta. Is he completely connected to that activity? It is his responsibility. So, Nirgunasya Gunakriya. Though he is Nirgunasya, though he is the Lord beyond the three modes of material nature, why he is performing activities in relation to Gunas? Gunasya Kriya, Gunakriya. Why he is performing the activities of Gunas? So, I am not able to understand this. Can you please clarify? Because all those things that I mentioned in the previous two chapters are interacting with three modes of material nature. So, but everything is happening by the Lord's desire only. Everything is happening by Lord's involvement only. So, Lord is Nirgunasya, Lord is Chinmatrasya, Lord is Avikarina, Lord is Bhagavan. So, I want to know whether he is performing this process of creation as a pastime, Leelaya, or is his main duty, Ujjaran. Ujjaran means the main activity, the principal activity of Mahavishnu. So, this I want to understand. And then he is going to elaborate in the next verse what he meant to be Leelaya or Ujjaran. What is the meaning of Leelaya and Ujjaran? Why he is telling that is it Lord's pastime or is it Lord's main activity? That he explains in the next verse. Actually, Prabhupada gives answer only in this verse. So we will not discuss the purport because answer we will discuss when Maitreya speaks. Kridayam Udyamorvasya कामश्चिक्रीडितान्यता स्वतस्तृप्तस्य चाकतं निर्वृतस्य सदान्यता.
Boys are enthusiastic to play with other boys or with various diversions because they are encouraged by desire. But there is no possibility of such desire for the Lord because he is self-satisfied and detached from everything at all times.
So here Vidura gives an example. Kridayam Udyamo Arbasya Kamas Chikridi Shanyata. So in our experience, Uddhava is saying to Maitreya that I see so many boys in their childhood, even though parents are trying to send them to school, they don't want to go to school. They always desire to play. That is Kama, that is their desire. Their only desire is to play morning to night. Even if they are not given breakfast, lunch, dinner, if they don't have time, I mean, if they Even they want to continue play in the night also. That is their desire. So this desire can be of two types. They themselves might be having the desire to play, or somebody, some of their friends might inspire them to play. So in either cases, the children want to play. This is I could see. So Kridayam Udyamo, they are always eager to do like Udyama. Udyama means in Telugu we have this rally. People always eager to do rally in order to revolt to something, revolt to some authority, etc. So children are always want to play against to the will of the parents. For what purpose? Kama chakridita anyata. Either their own desire or the desire or the inspiration given by the other friends. So then, this is the case with children. But then for what about the Lord? Swatatrutasya. Lord is self-satisfied. Children need to play themselves or along with their friends in order to get happiness. In order to become happy, they need to play. But Lord is self-satisfied. He don't need to play. He don't need to perform the process of creation as a play. This is for the Leela. So it is not necessary neither Leela nor his own activity. If somebody may say that Lord is doing the creation for his pleasure, but he is self-satisfied, for him is no need to be done. And Cha Katam, or there was no one to inspire him to do creation also at the beginning of the creation. Aham Eva Samevagra. At the beginning of the creation, Lord was alone there. There was no one in addition to him. So there was no one to inspire him to create. So the two things which we see in the small children to play, they are not applicable in relation to Supreme Lord. Then what is the reason for Lord's activity of creation by interacting with three modes? Nirvritasya sada anyata. So Nirvritasya means he has no need to do anything. Lord is free from all other things. He has nothing to do in this world. So for what purpose is creating this world? When he has nothing to do this, when he has no self-desire, when he has no one to inspire him to create, and why he is creating? Please tell me. Then he continues further. Asrakshit Bhagavan Vishwam Gunamayatma Mayaya Taya Samstapayati Etat Bhuya Pratyapi Vidasyasi.
By his self-sheltered potency of the three modes of material nature, the Lord has caused the creation of this universe. By her, he maintains the creation and conversely dissolves it again and again.
So Vidura elaborates. He not only creates, he maintains and he annihilates. Again creates, maintains, annihilates. This is not one-time activity. It is continuously going on. Asrakshit Bhagavan Vishwam Gunamayatma Maya. Using the three modes of material nature of material energy, he creates. Asrakshit means creates. Then Samstapayati, he maintains it. And then Pratyapi Dasati, he again dissolves it within himself. So this Bhuya, again and again he performs. So there must be some reason. So if there is some reason, that is contrary to the nature of the Supreme Lord. He is self-satisfied. So can you kindly clarify this doubt of mine? So this is about the Supreme Lord. One doubt in relation to Supreme Lord. Now he is going to pose another doubt in relation to Jiva. Because this material world is created by the Lord for the purpose of Jiva's enjoyment. So if it is supposed to be meant for Jiva's enjoyment, but I don't see any enjoyment for Jiva in this material world. So pura ulta ho raha hai. That's the original question which Vidura raised. Sukaya karmani karoti loke nate sukam vane duparmamba. Because when Jiva comes to this material world, performs various activities with a desire to get happiness. But what I see is three things. They are neither able to mitigate their past misery. They are not able to get new happiness. Instead, they are only getting extended misery. So instead of getting extended misery, are they stopping performing activity? No. They are starting another activity, hoping to get more happiness. But they are only end up with more misery. So that question he raises in the next two verses. Next three verses. Deshata kala toyoso avastata swatonyata avilupta vabodhatma sayujjeta jayakatam.
The pure soul is pure consciousness and is never out of consciousness, either due to circumstances, time, situation, dreams, or other causes. How then does he become engaged in nescience?
So here simple question. Jiva by nature Satchidananda Swarupa. It is full of eternity, full of knowledge and full of bliss. So the principal qualities of Jiva cannot be destroyed by or cannot be disturbed by, cannot be affected by Deshata, place, Kalata, time, and Avasata, situations around, Swato by oneself, Annata by some other things. So it cannot be possible to remove or divert or destroy the natural qualities of a Jiva. But aviluptava bodhatma sayujjeya ajaya katam. How is it that Jiva becomes completely ignorant of himself and takes up material activities in order to get enjoyment in this material world and behaves like a completely ignorant person? The Jiva's knowledge cannot be disturbed by any other things like Deshata, Kalata, Avasata, Swato, Anyata. But I see the people are behaving completely ignorant, as if they don't have any knowledge, as if they feel like they are not eternal. Everyone is afraid of death. So how do you understand that? How it happen? How it takes place like this? How it is happening like this? So there are a couple of points are here. So how does the jiva loses his knowledge? By the association of avabodhatma, means by the association of avidya or ignorance. So for example, one effect is taken, one example is taken that, so just like we have seeds, when we sow seeds in a good land, in a fertile land, the seed grows very nicely and comes up with nice plant and gives fruits, flowers or grains, whatever it is. If the same seed is sown in a barren land, that does not grow only. So if, just like a seed is affected by a place, the living entities in the middle world, they are also affected by place. Because of surrounding, they are affected. And then the light, the whatever sunlight we get, it also goes through effects with respect to the time scale. Early morning from 5 to 7, the light is very dim. And morning 7 to evening 5, it is very bright. And evening 5 to 7, it gradually becomes dim. And evening 7 to morning 5, it is no light only. So based on the time in a particular day, the light's intensity keeps changing. Morning to noon it is increasing, noon to evening it is decreasing, night it is not there only. By midnight it becomes very cold all over. So like that, Jiva also becomes affected by time. In the childhood, he is completely dependent on the parents. During the youth and adultery, he behaves as if he is Shaktiman. In the old age, again dependent, and at one point of time, he dies, surrendering to the will of the time. Even though person does not want to die, but still one dies by the effect of time. So it's like one's memory is also affected by different conditions one is in. If a person is normally there in childhood, one may remember more. As time progresses, one's memory goes. A person meets with an accident or enters into coma, memory is gone. Like that, various things can cause the losing of memory. The similarly, Jiva also forgets his knowledge, etc., etc. Of course, these are some examples. But whatever it is, in our general understanding, Jiva forgets one's transcendental nature. That is what we see. Why? Why that happens? For what reason Jiva forgets its natural state, natural consciousness? Then he further continues, Bhagavaneka evaisha sarvakshetreshu avastita amusha durbagatvam va klesho va karma bikuta.
The Lord as the super soul is situated in every living being's heart. Why then do the living entities' activities result in misfortune and misery?
So simple. So one may say that no, it is not like that. So the Jiva was abandoned by the Supreme Lord. So he was thrown into a desert, or he was thrown out of the kingdom. So what is left for him is only misery. One may think like that. When a citizen is abandoned by the city, so what one can expect is only misery. But Lord is not like that. Lord is not like a sadist person want to punish Jiva. The same, though we left the Supreme Lord from the spiritual world, but the same Lord comes to material world as Paramatma and accompanying us wherever we go, sitting within our heart. Though the Paramatma is situated within the heart of every living entity, Bhagavan Eka Evaisha, Sarvakshetreshu Avasthita, Amushya, Durbhagatvam va. Still the Jiva experiences Durbhagatvam. Bhaga means fortune, Durbhaga means misfortune. So one may think that no, when Jiva is in the spiritual world, there was no misfortune, there was no misery, everything is auspicious. But the same Lord of the spiritual world is there with the Jiva in the material world also, being situated in the heart, very close to the Jiva. Still the Jiva experiencing Durbhagatvam. So Vidura is a minister, he knew. He was minister for more than 100 years in Kuru dynasty. So he knows everything. So he is giving solid reasoning. Klesho va karma bhi kuta. He is continuously experiencing only klesha, misery, and is working very hard to get out of that klesha and experience bliss. Engaged in so many different variety of activities. Abhi ye karenge, wo karenge, wo karenge, wo karenge. Till there was no sadbhagya. हमेशा दुर्भाग्य बने रहते हैं. So please tell me the reason for this. Then finally, एतस्मिन् मे मनो विद्वन् खिद्यते अज्ञान संकते तन्ना परानुडे विभो तन्ना परानुड विभो कश्मलं मानसं महात्.
Oh, great and learned one, my mind is greatly illusioned by the distance of this, and I therefore request you.
Your voice is not audible, Mataji.
Hare Krishna.
Please.
O great and learned one, my mind is greatly illusioned by the distress of this nuisance, and I therefore request you to clear it up.
So here Vidura speaks very politely. Instead of saying that you did not, you have created doubts in me by speaking about the process of creation. Instead, he said that my mind is actually etasmin me mano vidvan kidyate ajnana sankate. My mind is filled with ajnana. I cannot understand these higher spiritual subject matters. Tanna paranuda vivo. You are the person of knowledge. Kashmalam manasam mahat. Can you kindly remove the kashmalam that is there within my mind? Can you please enlighten me by clarifying my doubts? I could not understand these things from by hearing whatever you have spoken till now. So he's actually putting forward very politely instead of saying that you have by speaking these things you have created doubts in me. Instead, he said that I cannot understand at my limited intelligence. I could not understand all these things. Can you kindly clarify? So this is what Vidura is actually put forwarding two questions. One question in relation to Supreme Lord, another question in relation to Jiva's suffering. Of course, this is the original question which started with the 5th chapter discussion. So now, so this is one of the interesting verse. Now this is the conversation that is happening between Vidura and Maitreya. Now after hearing these questions, what is happening with Maitreya? That Sukadeva Goswami is telling. How Maitreya, what are the facial expressions in Maitreya's face? Because we cannot understand, Maitreya also will not speak about himself. So Sukadeva Goswami is talking about what's happening in the face of or in the heart of Maitreya. Sri Shuka Uvacha Sahittam Choditakshetra Tattva Jignasuna Muni Pratyaha Bhagavat Chitta Mayan Iva Gatasmaya.
Shri
Sri
Sukadeva
Sukadeva Goswami said,
O King Maitreya, being thus agitated by the inquisitive Vidura, at first seemed astonished, but then he replied to him without hesitation, since he was fully God conscious.
So, as soon as he heard, immediately, as soon as he heard the questions about Tattva Jignasuna Muni here, Muni refers to Vidura, because the great thinker Vidura himself is asking question means the question may not be a simple question. Yeah, apparently, externally may look very simple, but there is something deep expectation within the question. So as soon as Maitreya heard the questions, Initially, he thought that I cannot answer. So immediately he thought about the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Pratyaha Bhagavat Chitta. He immediately concentrated on the Supreme Lord. He meditated on the Supreme Lord seeking for an answer. Initially, he thought that I cannot answer. Vidura is asking questions, what I can answer. And Maitreya always had good respect for Vidura. Because Vidura himself is, as he is glorified in the 5th chapter, he is Yamaraj himself, one thing. And he is the direct son of Vyasadeva. And third thing is the direct disciple of Bhishma Dev. He is Yamaraj, one Mahajan. He is the son of Vyasadeva, Lord's direct son. He is the disciple of Bhishma Dev, disciple of another Mahajan. Huh? Vyasadeva is not Mahajan in that sense. He is the Supreme Lord. Lord will not be Mahajan. Jiva will be Mahajan. So, I mean, though question may looks very simple, but Vidura might be expecting some intrigue answer. So I may not be able to answer directly. So let me meditate on Supreme Lord. Like that, Pratyaha Bhagavad Chitta. First he meditated on the Supreme Lord. Then, by the mercy of Paramatma, by the mercy of Supreme Lord, the answer is revealed to him. Then, Smayan Iva Gatasmaya. Then he began to slightly smile. So this is the expression of smile is that. So no problem. By the mercy of the Supreme Lord, I can also answer to Vidura. So thinking thus, he slightly smiled and then began to narrate, began to speak. So the same kind of situation also mentioned in Srimad Bhagavatam at 2 other places. So at 2 other places also, the similar kind of the similar kind of incident was mentioned in Srimad Bhagavatam. Both are in 10th canto of Bhagavatam only. One is in Srimad Bhagavatam, 10th canto, chapter 12, verse number 44. So in this verse, it is said that the pastime is all about the killing of Aghasura. When Aghasura was killed, generally every day, Lord Krishna and Balaram combinedly would kill 2 demons. One demon would be killed just before lunch because the children were deeply immersed in play. So Kamsa, as a dear mama, would always send a demon so that the people, his nephew, should not miss their lunch and dinner. So when it was getting too late for lunch, the demon would come, and Krishna, Balaram, and all the Gopa friends, they would all fight with the demon, have good fun, and after killing, they feel like they are tired. By their play, they would never feel that they are tired, but by killing a demon, they would feel that they were tired. So they would look into the sky, then they would understand that it is already noon. It is already noon already gone. So they would sit for prasadam. They would take prasad in the noon time, and then they were again immersed in the play. It is already evening 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock. They have forgot that they are supposed to go home. Again, one more demon comes. Krishna and Balaram would kill that demon, and then they will by the end of that they would understand that it is already evening. Now we have to go home. So like that, every day there would be 2 demons, and when they go home, on the pathway, all the Gopas would compose nice poetry. So they would sing about who were the demons, what were their physical appearances, and how they fought with Krishna and Balaram, how Krishna and Balaram had nice fun with them, played them with them for some time, then how Krishna and Balaram killed them very easily. So they would make nice song, they would compose nice song, and they would sing as they were passing through the streets of the Vraja. Finally, they would reach the home of Nanda Maharaj and Yashoda. So in the meantime, everyone would hear what pastime took place on that day. Of course, not only demon killing, even their play also they would compose in the form of songs. Everything, whatever they did morning to evening, they would sing in the evening when they are entering into the Vraja. So now here Sukadeva Goswami mentions Hare Krishna Prabhuji, can you kindly mute it?
Hare Krishna.
Prabhuji, mute it. Thank you. So after killing Aghasura, the Gopas, they told about the killing pastime of Aghasura after 1 year. So this was the verse spoken by Sukadeva Goswami in the previous verse, that 43 or 43rd verse. And then, I mean, the previous to previous maybe. And then Parikshit Maharaj immediately asks the question. He immediately stops. That shows that Parikshit Maharaj is listening very eagerly. He is not just listening and dozing off. So he said that, my dear Sukadeva Goswami, you said that every day when they go back, they would sing whatever Krishna, Balaram and they themselves did throughout the day, morning to evening, and what are the demons they killed and what the pastime they performed. But how is it that they spoke about the killing of Aghasura after 1 year? So as soon as this question was heard by Sukadeva Goswami, in the mind of Sukadeva Goswami, the entire pastime came into vision. Just by envisioning the entire pastime, Sukadeva Goswami went into ecstasy, because this pastimes reveals the majesty of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. How Lord Krishna displayed his opulence, because Brahma steals the boys, later on steal the calves, in order to reciprocate with the Vraja ladies who always cherished a desire to accept Krishna as their son, and also reciprocate with the cows of Vraja who also wanted to reciprocate with Krishna as their calf. So Krishna himself took the form of children, all the gopas and all the calves. So this time Lord Krishna's 6th year was going on. This was immediately after 5th birthday and before the 6th birthday. This pastime took place on Lord Balram's appearance day. So that day Balram did not come. So till the next birthday, the whole pastime happened. That is during the 6th year of the Krishna and Balram. That time this pastime happened. So now this aspect of this pastime shows Lord Krishna's sweet reciprocation with the Vraja personalities like Vraja ladies and then elderly gopas, elderly gopis, and cows. And in relation to Brahma, Lord showed his power, his majesty. So eventually when Brahma came back, he saw all the Gopa boys, all the calves are there. Then the Gopa boys and calves transformed into Vishnus. And then there appeared unlimited universes. And in each and every universe, Brahma, Shiva, Indra, Chandra, Varuna, Vayu, all the devatas, they were worshipping each Vishnu. And eventually all the devatas disappeared, all the universes disappeared, all the Vishnu disappeared. Only Krishna appeared as if he was searching for cows and boys as an innocent boy. So that bewildered Brahma completely. Because at one go, Lord Brahma witnessed the complete majesty of Lord Krishna. Who Lord Krishna is completely revealed to Lord Brahma. So when here in one pastime, Lord Krishna performed two kinds of things. He reciprocated with his Madhurya Bhaktas in a Madhurya way, in an affectionate way, with the Gopa mothers and cows. And he reciprocated with Lord Brahma with Aishwarya Bhakta in Aishwarya way. When Sukadeva Goswami remembered all these things, he went into ecstasy. That's what it is mentioned. Ittam sma prishta satu badarayanis tat smaritananta hritakilendriyai. Tat smarita, remembering, ananta hrita akila indriyai. Krichrat puna labda bahir drishi shanai. So when Sukadeva Goswami, when he remembered Lord's reciprocation with Brahma in Aishwarya way, reciprocation with Vrajavasis in a Madhurya way, Sukadeva Goswami actually went into trance for some time. Then, Labda Bahir Drishi Shanair. Shanair means gradually. After some time, he came out of his ecstatic trance, step by step. Because just by remembering Lord's loving reciprocation with his intimate devotees, Sukadeva Goswami got into trance. Pratyahatam Bhagavatottamottama. Then he began to reply to the best of the devotees of the Supreme Lord Parikshit Maharaj. So this is one place Bhagavatam explains about Sukadeva Goswami entering into trance. In and remembering the wonderful pastimes of the Supreme Lord in relation to his wonderful devotees, both simultaneously. And then there was one more instance which comes in the 80th chapter, verse number 5. So herein, the query is asked about Lord Krishna's reciprocation with Sudama. Though Sudama is a Brahmana of no It's like what abandoned or neglected Brahmana. But even though from the society point of view is completely neglected, but Krishna treats him as the best of all personalities. From our middle understanding, like Brahma is the best personality. When he comes, everyone worships him. So like that, Lord Krishna treated who was no one in the society, but Lord Krishna treated him more than Brahma, more than himself, more than Lakshmi, because he made to sit on the bed of Rukmini Devi. And he, the Lord of entire material and spiritual universes, worshipped the feet of Sudama, who not even have any paduka. So this shows Lord's reciprocation towards his devotees. When Sukadeva Goswami remembered this, hearing the question of Parikshit Maharaj to speak about Lord's interaction with Sudama, Sukadeva Goswami again went into ecstasy. Vishnu Ratena Samprushto. Vishnu Rata means Parikshit Maharaj. Samprushto, being asked, Bhagavan Badarayani, Vasudeve Bhagavati, Nimagna Hrudayo Bravit. Nimagna Hrudayo. He went into trance, he forgot where he is. And then he eventually came out and began to speak to Parikshit Maharaj. So this happens with the speakers. Even sometimes, even when the speakers are asked any question, they will remember, okay, Maharaj was also asked this question by Anandan Rood some time back. Then they remember what Maharaj spoke for some time. Then they reply. They don't reply immediately. They recollect all the event, when it took place, how it took place, etc. etc. So these things generally happens. So Bhagavatam talks about two incidents about how it had happened, taken place. So the same thing is happening in relation to Maitreya Rishi. So here Maitreya actually went into transfer in order to get the answer to questions of Vidura. He was actually intensely praying to Supreme Lord, and Paramatma revealed to him within the heart. Then he became composed and he came out to external consciousness and began to answer with a nice smile on his face.
Hare Krishna.
Yes, Mataji.
Prabhuji, isn't a similar incident happened when Vidura was asking Uddhava, and Uddhava also goes in trance for a while, and then he directs him to Maitreya?
Oh, Uddhava did not go for transfer a while. He went into transfer 2 muhurtas. That was a long time.
Yeah.
Because Uddhava was already in lamentation. He was already thinking about Lord Krishna too much in anguish. So when Vidura asked so many questions about Lord Krishna, Balram and all the Yadus, he kind of remembers the pastimes from the time of Krishna's birth to the pastime of Krishna's departure. So in order to remember one pastime, it may take 1 or 2 minutes. Here as we are discussing with in relation to Sukadeva Goswami and Maitreya. But Uddhava was remembering the pastimes of Lord Krishna for 125 years. So he will take more time. So he took 2 muhurtas, 2-3 muhurtas. Then he came out of the trance. It is same, yes. Thank you for collecting that.
No, I was remembering. Thank you.
Okay. Everyone is able to follow the queries asked by Vidura. Now when we see the answers, it makes sense. So now Maitreya is answering. Maitreya uvacha Seyam Bhagavato Yannayena Virudyate Ishwarasya Vimuktasya Karpanyam Mutabandhanam.
Sri Maitreya said, certain conditioned souls put forward the theory that the Supreme Brahman or the personality of Godhead is overcome by illusion or Maya, and at the same time they maintain that he is unconditioned. This is against all logic.
Yeah. So whatever 2 questions you have asked, okay, the answers cannot be understood by logic. Yannayena Virudyate. They are beyond logic and reasoning. From materialistic logic point of view, when some activity is done by some person, we see the connection between the person, activity and the result. We actually speak about the interconnection between all these 3. There is a person who wants to do the action, because of that he did the action and is entitled to get the results. The results are ascribed to that person who would perform the action. So this is what we understand based on material logic. But this logic we cannot apply to Supreme Lord. The Supreme Lord is beyond our material logic and reasoning. Why? Seyam Bhagavato Maya Yennayena Virudyate. Though Maya is Lord's energy, but Maya is not the Lord. Though Maya is the Supreme Lord's energy, by glancing upon Maya, the Supreme Lord creates the 24 material elements and creates all the universes. But Lord is not doing everything on his own. The material logic cannot apply to this activity of the Supreme Lord. Even though one may say that all these activities are happening because of Lord's intervention only, as the Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna only told, Mayad Dekshena Prakriti Sukhi Sachacharam. Everything is happening by me only. But unfortunately, we cannot ascribe everything to Supreme Lord. How? One nice example is given. This we can actually really realize, we can experience every day. Recently, rainy season was there, and now we are experiencing October heat. There is sun. From sun, and a normal day comes sunlight, and also intense heat. As in the month of October or April, May, June, we get intense heat. That is coming from sun. But because of the same sun, as the water is evaporated during the months of April, May, June, we see so many clouds in the month of July. Lot of clouds are being formed throughout the summer, and eventually they become cloudy in the rainy season, etc. And if there are intense cloudy weather, cloudy atmosphere, then we see even the daytime only darkness. The light, the clouds, and the darkness, all these are created by sun only. If there is no sun, there will be no sunlight, there will be no clouds, there will be no darkness because of too much cloudy weather. All these are happening because of sun. But sun has nothing to do with these three things. Whether the brightness or clouds or the darkness is happening only on the earth, not in the sun. The light is coming and going, that is activity of mode of goodness. The clouds are made and dissolved, that is activity of mode of passion. The darkness comes and goes, that is activity of ignorance. These three activities are happening in relation to the earth only. But in the sun, it is always same state. In the sun, we don't see clouds forming. In the sun, we don't see darkness coming. Their situation is always same. Similarly, though everything is happening because of the Supreme Lord, but Supreme Lord has nothing to do with any of these things. Because we on the earth experience the brightness, darkness, and clouds. But in the sun, no one is experiencing all these things. The situation within the sun is entirely different from the situation with us. So this is the example which is quoted in order to understand or in order to explain Lord's interaction with Maya Devi. Lord is like the sun, and by empowering Maya Devi, performing all the activities of three modes, is like creating dark brightness, creating clouds, and creating darkness. Certainly they happen because of the Lord, but there is no effect on the Lord because of them. So Lord is independent of any effect. So because Lord is independent of any effect, he is not ascribed as the doer of all these activities. Though they are happening certainly because of him, but he is not doing anything, any of these things. The same way, though the Supreme Lord is the instigator of all the activities, but Maya only does all the activities. The Supreme Lord is actually independent of all these activities. But unfortunately, in the scriptures, what they do, Prakriti Yastyopadanam Adara Purusha Para Sato Abhivenjakai Kalo Brahmatat Pritiyam Tuham. Basically, it says that whatever done by Prakriti is actually by the glance of Supreme Lord. So whatever Prakriti is doing, the Shastra says that it is done by the Supreme Lord only. But Supreme Lord does not do anything directly. He just glances upon Maya Devi and then goes into Yoga Nidra. Maya Devi alone does all the activities. But Maya Devi cannot do any activity without the glance of the Lord. Because of that, it is said that Lord is the creator, Lord is the maintainer, Lord is the annihilator. But he does not do any of these things. He simply glances and goes into Yoga Nidra. Everything is done by Maya Devi only, Maya Devi herself. So that's how Lord is not directly involved in any of the activity in the material universes. All the activities are actually performed by Swayam Bhagavato Maya. Lord's Maya only does everything. Lord does not do anything. So thus, our material logic cannot be applied to this activity of the Supreme Lord. Thus, in the first two lines, the answer to Supreme Lord's, the query related to Supreme Lord is explained. The query is about, so how is that Lord is Chinmatra, Lord is Avikarna, Lord is Nirguna, can interact with three modes? Because Lord does not interact with three modes directly. The three modes are performing their activity on their own. What Lord does is only just glances. He glances and empowers Maya Devi, and Maya Devi performs all the activities one after the other, one after the other. So Lord has no direct relation. He remains as Chinmatra. He remains as Avikarina. He remains as Nirgunasya. Because when there is light, our disposition is something different. When there are clouds, there will be different disposition we have. And there is darkness, we feel differently. So our experiences are depend upon the surroundings. But Lord's experience does not depend upon all these things. He is independent of all these things. He is not affected by none of these things. So like that, Lord remains Kutastha, unaffected in his transcendental situation. So these two lines answers the query in relation to the Supreme Lord. And remaining two lines on the future verses, they all talk about why Jiva supposed to be Sadbhagya becomes Durbhagya. That is being described in the next verses. Ishwarasya, though Jiva is Ishvara, Jiva is minutely controller. Jiva by his transcendental nature is supposed to be Sachidananda. He is full of eternity, full of knowledge, full of bliss. He must be in knowledge always. He must be experiencing that. Jiva must be experiencing transcendental bliss at any point of time. But and Vimuktasya, Vishesha Rupena Mukta, he is supposed to be liberated at all time. But that Jiva, by the influence of this Maya, or by the association of this Maya, Bhagavan's Maya, Karpanyam becomes helpless. Krupana becomes miser. Utabandhanam, because he is bound by, that Jiva is bound by the influence of three modes of material nature, or that Jiva is bound by the Maya. Whose Maya is this? Bhagavan's Maya. So, Jiva by its original nature supposed to be liberated, supposed to be in the knowledge, in the state of full of knowledge, full of eternity, full of bliss. But by Lord's Maya, that Jiva is bewildered, becomes weak, and becomes bound by Maya's influence. Because this Maya is Lord's energy, that Maya had the potency to bind Jiva. That Maya had the potency to bewilder Jiva. If Maya is not Lord's energy, she will never have the capacity to bind the Jiva, because Jiva is also Lord's potency. How can something which is not belonging to Lord can bind, can affect something which belongs to Lord? That cannot be possible. So it is only by Lord's Maya, the Lord's Tatat Shakti known as Jiva is bewildered, is bound. So why Jiva is bound, how Jiva is bound will be explained in the next verses. So this verse gives a hint that who binds, but for what purpose, under what condition that Jiva is bound in the next verses, our Maitreya will elaborate.
Hare Krishna.
Yes, Mataji.
Prabhuji, means while understanding this, we see that Jiva is also qualitatively same with the Lord, although quantitatively different.
Yes,
So-
that's what I'm saying. Jiva is supposed to be Ishvara. Is supposed to be independent.
So that when the qualitatively he's same, when Maya cannot affect the Lord, or it is the Lord's energy, how it affects the Jiva?
So how
Because
it affects Jiva, that we will see in the next verse. How Jiva gets affected, how Jiva gets bound. That is described in the next two verses.
Okay.
We will see that. So in the current verse, who bound Jiva, who affected Jiva, who bewildered Jiva is explained. Next verse explains how it happens.
Okay, Prabhu.
यदर्तेन विनामुष्य पुंस आत्मा विपर्यया प्रतीयता उपद्रष्टु स्वशिरश्चेदनादिका. Can someone read the translation?
The living entity is in distress regarding his self-identity. He has no factual background like a man who dreams that he sees his head cut off.
So, yad artena vina amushya. Artha means meaning or purpose. So, yada artena vina, without any special purpose, the jiva's bondage happens. There was no purpose for jiva's bondage. And vina amushya, there was no reason, there was no cause for jiva's bondage. If one logically want to analyze, logically understand, there was nothing to achieve by jiva's bondage. There was no reason for jiva's bondage. It was causeless. It was meaningless. Pumsha Atma Viparya. Atma is supposed to be independent. The Atma Viparya is happening. Atma becomes bound. Atma becomes dependent on Maya. So the becoming dependent on Maya, becoming independent, opposite to its original nature, it is without meaningless and without purpose and without cause. Somebody may say, what you are speaking? What is this? I see Jiva getting bound. Getting bound life after life, getting suffered. Going through suffering from birth to death. So many things happen. How can you say that it is without purpose and without logic and without reason, without cause? Maitreya says that Pratiyata Upadrastu Swashiras Chedanadika. And he says that, can you, my dear Vidura, can you please tell me what is the reason for a person who is going through a dream? He sees that his head being cut off and hanged from the top. A person in the night when he is sleeping, he gets a dream. In the dream, he sees that his head is being cut and his head is hanged from the top of a pole. So what do you mean by this dream? Can anybody tell what is the meaning of this dream? It is a dream. Hare Krishna, someone can guess what is the meaning of this dream?
Like there is a contradiction in the dream itself, na Prabhuji. Like if somebody's head is cut off, how that person can see that my head is cut off? He's dead then.
आप कभी ड्रीम, आपको कभी ड्रीम आते नहीं लगता है?
ऐसा नहीं आता है प्रभु जी.
ऐसा आए, ऐसा भी कुछ लोगों को आता है, बट ऐसा ड्रीम आने का संभावना है क्या नहीं?
Yes, very
आ
much.
सकता है.
Prabhuji, can I make a comment? Manu Das.
Please, Prabhu.
Just like in dream we see our head is cut off, but in actuality we cannot do that. We cannot cut our head and then see also. That's not possible. It's only in dream. Similarly, this material world is like dream, and we are seeing so many things happening with us. But actually, from outside perspective, from spiritual perspective, it is as good as seeing a head cut off. So it's not a reality. It's not a permanent reality. It's a temporary situation. That's what I understand.
Yeah, thank you for telling me. This is the same meaning here. So see, when we sleep in the night, when our sleep gets disturbed by a dream, in the dream we see our head is being cut off. Maybe for some reason that we have been caught as a thief, as a criminal, the king sentences us to death. So the soldiers will come and cut our head and hang it on the pole, etc. Who is going through the dream? I am only. In the dream, my head is being cut. If I am a person who is sleeping on the bed in my room, and in the dream I am seeing my head is being cut, that means I, in originality, I am sleeping on my bed in my room. That is my constitutional position. But in the dream I am seeing my head being cut means I am identifying myself with the body in the dream. That body which is in the dream is being cut by the soldiers. And who is seeing the dream? I, the original person. That is Atma. The Atma, which is actually sleeping in the spiritual world, is actually witnessing the person's material existence in the material world as a dream. So in the material world, Jiva is going through so many miseries as if that is being cut. Because as long as we identify with material body, whatever is happening in the dreamy world or whatever is happening in the dreamy existence, we accept it as a real. So Maitreya says that really Atma or Jiva does not go through any experience, any misery. When the head is being cut, the person in the dream, he experiences pain of being cut. But the person sleeping on the bed, does he experience any pain? No, because he is not being cut. He does not experience the pain of cutting. It is, but theoretically, when a person is going through dream, he actually experiences the emotions. He feels as if his head is being cut. Suddenly, like in a dream, if a person is chased after by a tiger, the person is actually sweating on the bed. If a person is falling down from a building, the person actually falls down from the bed. This happened with me many times. At least 10 times till now. I fell down from the cart or bed, whatever it is. So as if fell down from somewhere. So this always happens. Because we identify with our dreamy body, though we on our original state, we are such Chit Ananda, but we go through misery. Because the dream body is going through misery. So this is the understanding. In spite of Paramatma being with us very close to the Jivatma, still Jiva goes through misery because Jiva is identifying itself, he or she, with the body, not with the Atma. So as long as that misidentity happens, Atma Viparya happens, tab tak ye Durbhagatvam is there for the Jiva. Yes, Prabhu. Here Rajuna Sham Prabhu has a question.
You said just now that the Jiva is actually speaking in the spiritual world.
So Prabhuji is asking that I mentioned that Jiva is sleeping in the spiritual world. That is to help us understand this analogy. I mentioned that. Even in way, some places this explanation is also presented that this comes in the 6th canto where Priya Prutu, what is his name? Chitraketu Maharaj was offering prayers to Lord Sankarsana. There actually tells this kind of understanding. Lord Sankarsana only tells this understanding that our material existence is like going through dreams. One life is like one dream. So who is dreaming? The Atma in the spiritual world is dreaming. In one dream, one is Devata, in one dream, one is human being, in one dream, one is a bird, in one dream like this, one like this, like that. So many dreams are happening one after the other. When all the dreams are over, when the Jiva gets up, so you understand that, okay, pura raat bhar dreams only coming. So they will tell that. So I have become bird, I have become tiger, I have become lion, I have become elephant, I have become human being, I have become Devata, I have become that, I have become this. Like that they will share. Just like when we get up in the morning, we also share our dreams with our friends and family members. So it is like that. So because of this Durbhagatvam is attributed to Jiva because of our identity with the material body, like a dream body. You are able to follow this logic which Maitreya is trying to explain?
Yes, Prabhu, yes.
Yes,
He
Prabhu.
elaborates this with the next one more example which he gives in the 11th verse. He clarifies the matter with more practical way in the 11th verse. Yata tale, yes, Prabhu.
Prabhu, how can you call it as a dream body when all the material bodies are real and 84 like species of life are also real?
The dream है ना प्रभु जी. अभी हम human कहलाते हैं हमको.
We are taught in the
अभी रुकिए थोड़ा रुकिए. अभी when I am about 38. You, what is your age?
42.
Okay. After 40 years, what will happen to us? If, for example, after 40 years we are no more, then who are we?
New body.
That means, what about this body, current body? What
No, but
happened
it
to the
is not
current
a
body?
dream. It is real. No. For
Huh?
as long as it exists, it is real.
But as long as it exists, is real. But वो पूरा होने के बाद,
A dream is something which does not exist.
no, dream also
Something which
exists.
is made by your imagination, that is called as a dream.
It is not imagination. It is not kalpana. It is actually real. The dream is made by the mind. It is experienced by the mind. It is not experienced by the
Soul.
senses. It is not,
Yeah.
though it is not experienced by the senses and the gross body, but the dream is experienced by three things: man, buddhi, ahankara. These three actually identify with the dream. Ahankara identifies. Intelligence makes plans and performs activities. Mind goes through emotions, happiness or sad. The dream is action of the subtle body. You cannot deny that. You cannot say this is imaginary. It is true. It is true. It is real. It is as real as that activities which perform in the daytime. But only thing, we are performing all the activities in the subtle body. That's why we don't see them. It is true, Prabhu. It is not imaginary. It is not false.
No, the dream that we imagine is false. No, on that when a
Not
person
false. Not
sleeps
false.
and dreams.
You are
Correct?
getting my explanation. With the gross body, with the senses, every day we are performing activities. For example, now I am sitting on a chair, looking into a computer which is in front of me, in my table. I am using my hands. I am using my eyes. I am using my mouth to speak. I am using my eyes to read what is there. That means I am employing currently. So wait. Currently, I am employing my karmendriyas, jnanendriyas, and my whole body and subtle senses also. But in the dream, I don't employ the current karmendriyas, current jnanendriyas. Instead, I employ my current subtle body, man, buddhi, ahankara. But in the dream, I get a different gross body. The gross body, if I become a king, I have a gross body of a king. If I become a bird, I have the gross body of a bird. So that is experienced in the mind subtle level. Man, buddhi, ahankara actually performs all those activities. It is not a illusory.
Hare Krishna.
Yes, not
Prabhuji, means what you are saying, I have understood till that point, man, buddhi, ahankar. But we say soul is beyond that, man, buddhi, ahankar. So where is the place of soul in this scene? Like gross body is in the bed, the soul is also in the gross body, which is in the bed, and only the man, buddhi, ahankar platform works for the dream, and the soul has no place in that.
Wherever subtle body goes, Atma goes along with it. Atma is, one second, Drishyate. Atma is the witness. During the daytime, Atma is witnessing the activities of the present body, the human body. In the dream, Atma is witnessing the body which is acquired by the mind. The mind acquires the body of a criminal here in this verse. The mind acquires the body of a king if the person becomes king. So then Atma looks through that gross body which is there in the dream. Atma goes wherever subtle body goes.
How we understand this? It becomes very difficult. Prabhuji, means if with the Atma is going with the subtle body, that means the gross body in the bed is dead. We don't consider it that way, no, when one dreams.
It is not dead. It is alive only. But during the dream, the subtle body identifying with some other gross body. In the dream, the person does not identify himself with himself. For example, tonight when I go to sleep, when I get a dream, in the dream, if I become a parrot, I will not identify during the dream as Pavaneshwar Das. I will identify myself as parrot. Then who is identifying as parrot? It's me only. Who acquired the body of the parrot? Soul. Soul means me only. I am there on the bed also. I am there in the dream also. I am simply identifying with that. And I am fulfilling my desires of flying from Mumbai to Nasik, Nasik to Pandharpur, Pandharpur to Solapur, Solapur to Hyderabad, all the way to my hometown. I'll fly without going through the trains or flights wearing mask and all the sanitizers and all the things.
Okay.
So it is like that. See, this becomes a little clear in this verse. Wait. Yata jale chandramasha kampadistat kruto guna drishyate sannapi drashtur atmano natmano guna.
As the moon as the moon reflected on water appears to the seer to tremble due to being associated with the quality of the water, so the self associated with the matter appears to be qualified as matter.
Okay. Now one nice example is given in this verse. In the night, on the full moon day night, very soon we are going to have Sharat Purnima. Think about it. In the night, there is moon in the sky, very brightly shining. And that moon have so many moon rays, the cooling, soothing moon rays. In the month of October, the weather is little hot, and in the night if there is full moon, then we'll experience soothing coolness. And fortunately, you have a lake in your courtyard, a water lake or a small swimming pool. And in that swimming pool, you can see the reflection. But sitting on one corner, the small children, they are playing with their legs, keeping the legs in the water, sitting on the bank of the swimming pool. The water is getting agitated. So when the water is agitated, the reflection of the moon is also getting agitated. So now, the moon is Paramatma. The moon rays are Jivatma. The water is subtle body, to be more precisely subtle body, but to some extent grass body also. The combination of 24 elements, subtle body and grass body. And the reflection of the moon is seen in the water. If there is no water, can we see the reflection? We cannot see. Same way, if we don't have grass body and subtle body, we cannot see the existence of the soul. For the soul to express its existence, it need a grass body or subtle body. That means water. But in reality, the soul is the moon rays. There is moon in the sky. The moon's reflection is there in the water. Because of what the reflection is seen in the water? Is it only because of the moon? No. It is because of the moon rays that are coming from the moon to the water. If there are no rays that are coming from the moon to the water, water does not have any reflection. So reflection actually belongs to whom? The moon or the moon rays? Moon rays. Reflection belongs to moon rays because when the moon rays fall on the water only, there is moon reflection. If there are no rays, if the rays are blocked somewhere because of some grass object like this, there will be no moon's reflection. For example, if you put something hard thing in between, though the rays are there, you can't see any moon in the water. That means the moon rays are part and particles of moon. Jivatma is part and parcel of Paramatma. So when Jivatma, which is part and particle of Paramatma, which is nothing but the moon rays, when they fall on the surface of the water, then there is a reflection. Then there is a manifestation of Jiva's activities in relation to the water. Only when there is water, then the reflection can be seen. Even though if there are moon rays, if there are no water, we can't see any reflection. That means when there is no body, grass body and subtle body, to be more precise, subtle body, there is no manifestation of activities of the Jiva. So, but here what is happening? But if the kids are playing on one corner, the water is getting agitated. The moon's reflection seems to be getting agitated. The moon is stationary. The moon rays are stationary. But the reflection is getting agitated. Because of what? Because water is getting agitated. The agitation actually belongs to water. But we see the moon's reflection is agitated. That means we understand, we think that, we extrapolate that the rays are agitated. The moon is also agitated because moon is turbulent. Because of the rays are turbulent, because of which the reflection is turbulent. Like that we extrapolate. But actually who is going through the turbulence? Only water. That means only the subtle body, manbuddhi, ahankara, chetana going through turbulence. Icha, dvesha, samuttena, dvanda, mohena, bharata. Like, dislike, happiness, misery, good, bad, friend, enemy. All these things are happening only in the subtle body. But Instead of saying that the water is getting agitated, we say that moon's reflection is agitated. Instead of saying that subtle body is going through misery, we say that the person is going through suffering. The jiva is in misery. But who is in misery? Only subtle body in misery. Because only when we can say that jiva is in misery if the moon rays are actually turbulent. If the moon rays are getting agitated, then we can say jiva, because jiva's constitutional position is the moon rays. Direct connection with the moon, Paramatma. So that means whatever experiences that we go in this material world, our durbhagatva, our shoka, klesha, everything is because of our identity with the material body. Identity with subtle body and gross body. So whatever is happening in the subtle body and gross body, we accept them as if our own things. So it is like that. So this is how Maitreya explains.
Is it proof here?
Yes, Prabhu?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Yes, Mataji.
So it is a proof that what we see in the dream, how we relate with the subtle body. Is it a proof that we can say that when we leave the body, we say that the Atma goes with the subtle man?
Obviously,
Buddhi,
na, Atma goes with the subtle body and also 10 senses, Jnanendriyas, Karmendriyas and Atma and subtle body. Antakarnas all go along with the, they all go along with the
Yes.
Atma to the next body. That is true.
So this analogy we can apply for the others, like to say that.
Yes, we can apply that.
Okay.
This analogy
Hare
can be
Krishna.
applied to
Thank
that.
you.
Hare Krishna. So is everyone clear with this answer?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Yeah.
One more thing I wanted to say here, that even the material science talks about the pseudo emotions people who go through sometimes comes out in the dream. I mean, basically, it could be a desire, it could be some fear, it could be something else which you suppress, in the subconscious mind, which comes out in dreams. So how do we kind of relate these two here?
So the dreams are because of our identity. See, here Bhagavatam does not talk about dreams so much. Bhagavatam talks about our existence in the material world like a dream. See, I will tell you the next verse. Actually, I will not take now, but since the topic is being discussed, I will just give the explanation of the next verse and we'll discuss next week only. See what it is said. This condition can be alleviated by the practice of jnana or bhakti.
Okay.
So what the condition that the misidentification can be removed by the practice of jnana, bhakti mishra jnana or pure bhakti. So what it happens by bhakti mishra jnana? By bhakti mishra jnana, what happens is that when we sleep, we are getting so many dreams. So by practice of bhakti mishra jnana, the dreams won't come.
Okay.
The dreams won't come. A person gets into deep sleep.
Yeah.
Without any break, the person gets into deep sleep. So in the deep sleep, there is no dream, there is no misery.
Yeah.
So that is by Bhakti Mishra Jnana. So but by Bhakti, what happens? In Bhakti, in pure Bhakti, we always engage our senses, our mind, intelligence, ego, and Chetana in pure Bhakti. So everything is always engaged in devotional service, and the Supreme Lord is so merciful with the devotee. It's always there with the devotees and reciprocates with them. Then the devotee, there is no chance for misery. In the sense, even though actually the body may appears to be going through old age, but the devotee will never. He is in transcendental bliss, experiencing the reciprocation of Supreme Lord and never.
Prabhuji, there is a lot of echo of your voice.
Because some of you have not noted. So this we will discuss next week. So Jnana, Bhakti Mishra Jnana is like a destruction of all dreams, and pure Bhakti is like always immersed in transcendental bliss. A person is already in bliss, then where is dream? There is no dream only. So in that way. Okay, thank you very much. We'll stop here. It's already 7:30. So we'll take 2 minutes break. Then his grace Rajavino Shyam Prabhu will start his presentation. Hare Krishna.